Welcome to Detective Comic Talks, the podcast about DC Comics by DC Comics fans. Hello, welcome back to Detective Comic Talks, the podcast about DC Comics by DC Comics fans. If you're new around here and enjoy listening to us talk about the DC Universe, remember to like and subscribe to keep up to date with all the content coming your way from the channel. Today we're going to discuss the latest goings on with the DC Universe, including Henry Cavill's stunning return as Superman. We've finally got a production start date for Black Adam. We've also got rumours about a future Harley Quinn movie in the workings, and of course we have the fallout from Kathy Yan and Grace Randolph's Twitter dispute. But of course I can't do this all on my own, so please welcome back from DC Daily Buzz, it's Jake.
Hi everyone.
How you doing?
I'm great, how are you doing?
I'm good, I'm so happy we're back doing this again.
Oh, of course, I'm happy too.
So Jake, first of all we'll discuss the fallout for Zack Snyder's announcement that his Justice League film will be coming to HBO Max in 2021. Zack released two new images. Well, they aren't really new. They're two images we've seen before. One is, of course, of Ryan Choi of Star Labs. Of course, anybody out there who knows Ryan Choi will later become the Atom. We've seen this image before, but of course it's good to see it in colour, finally. Yeah.
I mean, it's not going to make any big difference. I mean, we're going to count on the trailers to do their part, you know. I feel like whenever we're going to get our first look on the Snyder cut, Snyder's a smart guy. I feel like he's going to be including all the new footage. I doubt the possibility of giving us the older scenes, like from the previous Joss Whedon cut, I know that both have some things in common, but I feel like Snyder's going to be smarter by adding the new footage, the new content to the trailer so that he can hype us up and, it's worth it.
Yeah. Of course, we also got another image, and it's of a young Darkseid invading Earth.
Yeah.
It's an image, again, we've seen before from Zack, but this time it's good to see it in colour. And, of course, it is the exact same scene that we've seen in the theatrical release of Justice League, except this time, instead of Steppenwolf invading Earth, it's Darkseid.
I mean, we can't be sure 100%, we can't be really certain it was Darkseid, but, I mean, we're going to have to see the Snyder cut.
Yeah. Well, of course, we've had speculation this week about a potential release date of the Snyder Cut. Gardner Fox's granddaughter, and of course any DC fan out there who knows who Gardner Fox is, he is the man who created the Justice League. His granddaughter has speculated that next May, 20th of May, on the anniversary of his birthday, that will be the release date of the Snyder Cut. Of course, this is just speculation at this moment. We don't have any confirmation.
Yeah, it's not an official announcement yet.
But of course, as I say, it would make sense, being the creator of Justice League's birthday, it would make sense that it would come out on that day. But again, as you say, we just have to wait and see what happens there. Other news, we had a massive Twitter spat between the director of Birds of Prey and famous YouTuber Grace Randolph.
Yeah, that.
Of course, Grace is a very public person. She's well known for her scripts.
Yeah, she's very popular. And I'm a huge fan of Grace.
Yeah, me as well.
Whenever there's a new DC trailer, I just wait for Grace to break down and do her stuff. She's really good.
Guys, if all you who doesn't know about this, David Ayer, the director of Suicide Squad, was answering a tweet in reference to his haircut that is starting to gain a lot of traction, where he more or less confirmed with us that studio interfered, as we were aware, in his movie, and Kathy Yan responded with a similar tweet, more or less saying, I agree.
It's kind of a small conflict going on there. I mean, that were mentioned about the director cut and the reshoots.
Well, I think the main thing we can take out of it is Kathy Yan clearly has a beef with the studio about the cut of Birds of Prey that we saw, and although Birds of Prey was very well received by critics, I mean, it's got a pretty high score on RT. Generally, it's well received by the public, or the mass audiences seem to enjoy it. Again, there's a lot of problems. Why did the movie not succeed? I mean, it's a subject that we did dive into last week, but I think it's strange to see Kathy, who hasn't had a lot of experience with big studios, I think Birds of Prey was her first major studio release. It's so strange to see her come out against the studio and say that. When Grace was explaining it, and then you watch the film, it's believable that might have been the potential, plot originally.
Before Grace talked about the whole case, I remember a lot of Instagram posts and many websites on my feed. They mentioned the whole dick pics and whatever, they mentioned the whole thing. And they said that it's not 100% confirmed. So that's why Grace talked about it. It's not like she was like, yeah, well, I'm the one who's reporting, as much as many other sources mentioned it. So I feel like she was like, I just want to break down maybe, or just mention the part. But the thing is that what's really interesting is that they're still talking about this, even though it's been several months since the movie got released in theaters. So why are they still talking about it?
Whether or not there was, dick pics involved or whatever in the original cut of the movie, they certainly weren't in the theatrical cut that we saw, and of course, the majority of it, I believe, enjoyed that movie. Mm-hmm. It has a lot of flaws. The movie didn't do well at the box office, but critically it was well received. And as far as I'm concerned for DC films, as long as they keep producing good products, the audience will come.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Yeah, I feel like the movie had great parts. I mean, I'm one of those people who felt the movie's not really worth going to the theaters. It's a movie you can just buy whenever it's available, or just watch, just watch it online somehow. It's just not the movie that you would be really hugely invested to go see in the theaters. It's like whenever I go to the theater, I just basically go with my friends, and it's like, I want to watch something worth my time. Now, I'm not saying Birds of Prey is not worth my time. It's not really worth going to the theaters. That's
one thing about Birds of Prey is because it is a small budget. It felt small. You could definitely feel the budget watching the film. Yeah. There wasn't a lot of action set pieces. It was very, it was contained. It felt like, the way I described it to one of my friends was, it was almost like if you're reading the Suicide Squad comic and you see Harley in it, mm-hmm. and then you decide to pick up the Harley Quinn solo series, mm-hmm. when you pick up that, it's almost like that. It's like picking up a side book. It's like it's a spin-off. It isn't. It's just a solo adventure inside the DCEU. By the way, there's a lot of merit to it. I think Harley Quinn's a very popular character.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, let's say most of the people who went to watch this movie are basically hardcore, Harley Quinn fans. It's like most of the comic book fans were like, well, those are the Birds of Prey, and I was one of these people. I mean, we're not seeing Oracle or leading Diana and the Huntress Helena into a mission or anything. It was just basically a Harley Quinn movie featuring two less popular characters, calling it the Birds of Prey. Yeah, so maybe that's one of the main reasons it didn't grab the attention it was supposed to, have in the first place.
I think obviously we don't want to go too much in details with the Birds of Prey, because it's a film that we all cover in depth, and it's on the view. We'll give it its chance in time, but there's a lot of things about that film that didn't work, but there's obviously a lot of things, in my opinion, that did work in that film. So moving forward, it's a good wee side tangent to mention an article that appeared on DCEU Mainstay. Now, of course, this isn't, a Variety, a Hollywood Reporter, or Deadline. This is just a blogger who has reported that Warner Brothers have started early discussions over a possible Harley Quinn movie. Mm-hmm. So there's no other subtext to it. There's no in depth. It's just there's early discussions. Of course, a lot of us believe that movie's going to be the long-awaited Gotham City Sirens movie.
Folks at Warner Bros. Must understand that it's either you do a Gotham City Sirens or you just don't do a Harley Quinn movie at all, because a standalone Harley Quinn didn't work out with them. So it's either you add her to the right group and you hire the right people to do the project, or you just don't do anything.
What I think will happen at this point is, I think that the plan that we heard a couple of years back that it was going to be a Harley Quinn movie every second year, I think right now those will be on hold. I think that won't be happening right now, because if we know anything about Warner Bros., they're a very reactive studio, and in a studio that they look at the audience reaction to things and they react to it. As we've seen in the past, obviously, with the Zack Snyder affair, we've obviously seen they are very reactionary studio. I think what will happen here is Warner Bros. Will watch next year's James Gunn Suicide Squad movie.
Yeah, and then we're gonna rely on how it goes and how it does in the box office.
Yeah, well, I think they'll gauge the reception to Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn in that movie and see where audiences' minds are at in terms of that character.
Yeah, but there's also returning characters like Amanda Waller. She's going to be played by the same actress. So we're still not sure if James Gunn is going to reboot the whole thing, or it's just going to add them like, yeah, we're going for a second mission. Or this is going to be like their first meeting. I mean, I'm not sure if he's going to wipe out what happened in the first movie and go for a complete different version, or he's going to rely on what happened, the previous events, and build up for a second Suicide Squad mission, you know? We still have no word on that, so we're going to have to wait.
When it comes to the new Suicide Squad, I think the DCU, whether people want to believe it or not, is currently going through a soft reboot at the moment. Right now, no matter what you say, we've seen it in the movies previously with a tone shift. That is definitely a reboot happening as we speak. And what is happening with this new Suicide Squad, in my opinion, is it's going to continue that. If you look at the characters who are returning to this Suicide Squad from the previous, it's characters like Amanda Waller, who's very well received, Harley Quinn, who's well received, Jai Courtney's Captain Boomerang, very well received, a very comedic performance by Jai Courtney in the movie. He's returning. Of course, Joel Kinnaman's returning as Rick Flag. God knows why that's happening, but of course, Warner Bros. Just must like Joel Kinnaman. Yeah. But I think what's happening with this Suicide Squad is it's going to be a soft reboot of the previous Suicide Squad, but I don't think it'll go.
How do you define a soft reboot? You know, because I don't really get it.
The way I would word the soft reboot with the DCU is they won't go out their way to reference the previous film, but they won't go out their way not to reference it, if you get me. They'll just move on regardless. They won't feel the urge to explain, oh, where's Deadshot? Where's Killer Croc? Yeah. I think they'll reboot without referencing, and I think that's what the plan will be moving forward. Of course, I believe Flashpoint will help that, but I also believe that the reboot's already happened. You know, people are like, oh, after Flashpoint. I don't think it's going to be a case of after Flashpoint instantly everybody, Henry Cavill, once we discuss that, he hasn't met Aquaman before, he hasn't met Wonder Woman. I don't think that's going to happen because Warner Bros. Have invested far too much money, far too much time at this point. I think when Flashpoint happens, things will change, but I think a lot of the changes have already happened.
Yeah, I think they're most probably gonna go for that. Hopefully, we'll see.
Obviously, this is I don't have any, like, no one's telling me anything. I'm just looking at the situation from Aquaman. If you look at the movies from Justice League, Aquaman, Shazam, and Birds of Prey, they are clearly, there's definitely a tonal shift there. They're definitely going in a different direction, but at the same time, they aren't going out their way to basically say, oh wait, Justice League didn't happen. I think after Flashpoint that could happen, but at the moment, they're just tiptoeing around the previous regime. But going forward, I think a lot of the movies coming out in the next 2 years are main characters in the DCEU, and I think they will have to finally address what the plan is going forward. Moving on from that, we finally got an official start date of production for Dwayne Johnson, The Rock.
Really? I didn't know that. I only knew that Robert Pattinson. They're allowed Batman to continue filming in the UK. That's the only thing I read for today.
Well, of course, here in the UK, of course, we are just slowly coming out of lockdown, so things are a bit slower moving forward. Obviously, we don't have an official. The reason why I'm not going to discuss the Batman today is we don't actually have an official date, but I have discovered an official start date for Black Adam, which will be the 31st of August in Atlanta, Georgia. Of course, that isn't the UK, so they won't have the restrictions that the Batman are going to have when they'll be starting production. Of course, this is very exciting, as The Rock has been attached to this project for well over a decade, and we're finally going to get to see Shazam's arch-nemesis, although I do believe he will be portrayed as an anti-hero in the DCU.
This is going to take some time, because Warner Bros. Doesn't have any plans for introducing them, like in the same movie, which doesn't make any sense. But I feel like there might be a Shazam cameo in the upcoming Black Adam. There will definitely be. But I feel like it's going to be something small, just like what we've seen with the first Shazam. They mentioned a seventh chair, I think, and that's it. Like, they could have actually gotten Dwayne to do the cameo instead of the dumb Superman cameo we had, which was completely ridiculous.
We'll discuss obviously that Superman cameo in a moment, but as I say, I believe that Black Adam, the Rock is a guy, he loves a franchise, look at the Fast and Furious franchise, look at the Jumanji franchise, the guy loves a franchise.
Mark my words, Black Adam is going to be the next Aquaman for DC, like the next Aquaman movie. It might rank higher than Aquaman. You've got Dwayne Johnson in the lead role. We're good. The DC fans are good. Warner Bros. Are good. And I feel like the vision that Dwayne Johnson's going for is going to be a thing that the fans appreciate. I just hope it doesn't turn out to be, a comedy, a comedy like all his other movies. I feel like the main focus should be on the story-wise and the depth of the storyline.
Okay. But the one question I would like to ask you on this, of course, you watch Stargirl, you review it regularly on DC Daily Buzz. We are going to finally get a chance to see the Justice Society America. Yeah. How excited are you for that?
I mean, listen, I feel like the version of the Justice Society on Stargirl's like more of, the older members have just died, and then the main focus is on the new members, which is awesome. But the thing with the big screen with the upcoming Black Adam, it's going to be focusing on the other Justice Society members. We're going to be getting to see Dr. Fate, Hawkman, Hawkgirl. Those three characters are not, part of the major plot on Stargirl. Stargirl's really focused on Wildcat, Starman, Dr. Midnight, and who is the fourth character? I think it's All-Man, I think. So it's really focusing on the other members. The case with the upcoming Black Adam movie, it's going to be focusing on the other names, the other big names in the Justice Society, which makes it way more interesting. I mean, not that I don't love the version they did on the small screen, but I grew up as a Hawkgirl fan, so we're finally getting a proper Hawkgirl portrayal on the big screen.
I really can't wait, especially for Dr. Fate, of course. I think Marvel did get the jump on DC with Doctor Strange, but I cannot wait for DC to bring, in my opinion, the better character to the big screen and Dr. Fate and be able to show everybody what he's capable of.
Yeah, and if they actually go with the same, the Bruce Timm's version of Shayera Hall, aka Hawkgirl, it's going to be something big. She happens to be a fan favorite.
I think the one thing I've got going into this Black Adam movie is the Dwayne Johnson. He isn't doing. Yeah, I can't see him playing a villain, Black Adam. I think it's going to be an anti-hero.
Yeah, he said he's going to be playing an anti-villain. So it's not really like his comic book counterpart. It's more like it's not reinventing as much as adding your own spices to the character, I
feel like if this movie goes well, personally, I think it's only a matter of time before we're into just Black Adam in the Justice League.
Yeah, I see an Injustice League coming not anytime soon, but it could happen in the future.
Oh, no. I think they'll put Black Adam in the Justice League.
Yeah.
I think DC will use Dwayne Johnson's name and push him for the next Justice League movie.
Yeah, that could happen. But remember that Dwayne is just like what you said. I mean, just like, he is a big name in Hollywood, so you may never know. It might not work with his schedule for the upcoming years. Wasn't this the whole case of delaying Black Adam in the first place?
That's the big thing. I can't see there being a Black Adam trilogy. I can't see us having Black Adam 2, Black Adam 3. I can't see that happening. I think it'll be a case of he'll be used across the board as cameo appearances. Yeah,
so merchandise, the upcoming Justice League. Yeah, I see that coming. I see it coming.
Personally, if you ask me from a DC fan point of view, I'm not really comfortable with Black Adam joining the Justice League. But
now listen, because he's going to be it's either he joins as an antagonist or he doesn't join at all. Because I don't see him becoming a member. That would be lame,
I think it would be lame, but I think that if Warners are looking to Justice League 2, just the way we know how Warners work, I wouldn't be surprised if they attempt to shoehorn Black Adam in just to sell merchandise. I could see it happening, hopefully, I'm really hoping if he does make an appearance in the future Justice League movie, it'll either be as part of the Injustice League or as a villain. But I just have a feeling that if this movie goes well, and as we know, Danny Garcia, his business partner and ex-wife, also the agent of Henry Cavill, she could be pulling some strings, and that could happen. We could see him in the Justice League. Moving on, we're going to discuss our big topic. Well, this is why we're here today. Deadline have reported exclusive. While there's no plan for a Man of Steel sequel in the works, we are hearing that Henry Cavill is in talks to reprise his role as Superman in the Warner Bros. DC universe. The statement continues to read, "We hear Cavill can come back in a couple of different ways. Although not in a standalone film, there are plans to put him back in the big red cape again, and sources with knowledge tell us one of the main ways they're pushing for it is through cameos." So, how do you feel about this news? Henry Cavill back in the DCU?
Yeah, now listen. Before we start discussing the report, I've read something, and I've read it more than twice. It says that the studio had a conversation. They were basically discussing, but they didn't sign anything, And I was kind of pissed off. I was really pissed off. So I'm just going to rely on the fact that Deadline reported, and just go with what they said and that everything is signed.
Well, what I would say is, when a major company like Deadline reports this, that's normally via a studio link or an agent link. So I believe when Deadline is reporting this sort of information, they definitely are in the know. There's definitely something more to it.
Yeah, hopefully it will turn out to be true, because I want nothing but to see Superman in the extended universe once more. But your question was, what do I think? I think this is amazing. I think we're blessed, but I feel like we deserve a Man of Steel sequel. I mean, listen. Yesterday I was using Netflix, and I was like, I feel like rewatching Man of Steel. God, I love Superman, So I rewatched Man of Steel, and I mean, whether you like the movie or not, the visual effects are amazing. They're beyond stunning. So I feel like we deserve another movie that focuses on Superman's character and the aspects of the great storylines that we can explore from the comics. We deserve to see such a thing once more, a sequel in the extended universe. And I read something today while I was on Instagram. It says, it was like, one of those posts. It says that Warner Bros. Doesn't have any plans for any Man of Steel sequel because they don't know how to make Superman relatable to the modern day, which sounds as ridiculous as it is. I mean, it's not like Batman with all of his high gadgets is relatable to any of us.
Warner Bros. Have had a consistent problem with Superman through the decades, and the first time they've managed to create a relatable Superman was through Henry Cavill and Man of Steel in 2013. I think, as we spoke about before, both of us really enjoyed that movie. That is the one movie that gives a lot of hope in the DCU. Of course, as many are aware, Zack came in and did a lot of things to the Superman character that are very regrettable, and personally, I don't know about yourself, but I'm pretty sure I know how you feel, but we don't like what Zack was doing with the Superman character.
Mm-hmm.
So that's unfortunate, but at the moment, Zack is no longer involved in DC films right now. I think, of course, the bigger issue here is Henry Cavill I think he's got one movie left in his deal with Superman, and of course, he wants that to be Man of Steel 2. The studio wanted to use him in the cameo in Shazam.
Yeah.
And whether or not there's different sources report, but it's clear to see Henry wanted a bit of money for it, and the studio, were quite, let's be honest, disgusted by it. They didn't believe that, there was no loyalty shown by Henry. According to the studio, obviously, we don't know, we weren't in the room, but from what we've heard, the studio wasn't happy that Henry wasn't willing to do it, as gratitude.
Yeah. Listen, I want to point on something. So, I remember back in summer 2018, a lot of, it was kind of a studio leak where Warner Bros. Wants to put Superman on the lay low, and they want to do a Supergirl solo movie. They want Wonder Woman, Supergirl to lead the DC extended universe, And then the previous month, it's like the Supergirl movie is on the lay low for a while, and Superman's like the main priority at Warner Bros. And then we hear that there's no plans for any Man of Steel sequel. So, I mean, it's either you do that Supergirl solo movie and not introduce as much as add Henry Cavill Superman as a big part in it, or you basically give us a Man of Steel sequel. There's no in between those two. Because a Supergirl solo movie won't work out without Superman, and the extended universe needs another Superman movie.
What I believe, when that Supergirl idea was brought up, I believe that was brought up to scare Henry Cavill and to sign the contract.
We all know it was to scare him, but they actually, I think back May 2019, sometime like that, there was an official announcement from Warner Bros. That they're moving forward with the project, and we were about to hear some casting options or whatever. But then Robert Pattinson's Batman came on, and then James Gunn back at that time was hired to do the Suicide Squad. So they were like, let's just put it, on the shelf for the moment. But I feel like if James Gunn's Suicide Squad and Robert Pattinson's, or let's say Matt Reeves' Batman, it did not happen or started production last year, I feel like we could have actually had Supergirl anytime soon.
I think they probably still could have came forward. Right now, after this pandemic passes, we're going to have in production Matt Reeves' Batman. We're going to have The Flash is going to start production. We're going to have Black Adam in production.
Yeah.
So there's going to be a lot, and Shazam.
Yeah, we're getting a Shazam, an Aquaman sequel, and The Flash in 2022.
Yeah, but I think that Shazam is going to film at the same time as Black Adam. I think that's been agreed. They're going to share sets and stuff, so that makes me believe there's going to be a good bit of crossover there. But in relation to your Supergirl comments there, I believe Warner Bros. Were using Supergirl to scare Henry, but it wasn't to bring Henry back. I believe that Supergirl film was going to be used to recast Henry. It was going to be a case of...
this could be happening.
I think what was going to happen is that Supergirl was going to re-establish a new origin story for Krypton and DCEU, and then they would have, in time, established a new Superman.
Yeah, but I feel like Warner Bros. Won't do such a messed up situation. I mean, if they introduce a new Superman, then the fans are going to be like, okay, where is the solo Superman for this dude, for this new guy?
In the DCU recently, we've had a lot of recasting. Obviously, famously, Batman has been recast, Ben Affleck's been recast, and some things have changed. I think that we've had a bit of turmoil. Some characters have been recast, some haven't. In fact, the whole Ben Affleck universe has now been totally recast, as Commissioner Gordon's been recast. Actually, and not just as an actor, but in race as well. But I think there's been a lot of recasting, but there's a lot of things that have stayed the same. And one thing that us fans, we want is consistency in these films. And we all would love Henry Cavill to stay around. I believe, as I've said in the last podcast, I believe there was a lot of parts of Man of Steel that I would love to see expanded on. Of course, Justice League, the theatrical release, as much as it gets a lot of flack, Superman had moments in that release that were great.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing that I want more than to have Henry Cavill Superman in any upcoming Supergirl movie, or any upcoming DC projects inside the extended universe. Let's hope that this actually happens. The last thing I want is a recast.
Yeah. I think what will happen, I think Henry's got big wage demands. We don't know this, but from what we understand, Henry's got really big wage demands. And that, by the way, that's Henry's prerogative, that's his business, that's none of our business to argue what someone should get paid. If Henry believes he's worth the money, then that's what Henry believes. If Warner Bros. Believe he isn't worth the money, then that's what they believe.
Yeah.
But I think what's happened here is they've came to a common ground. They've decided that, okay, Henry, we're not going to give you the money for the Man of Steel 2, but we'll give you this money to cameo. And I think it could work out really well for Henry Cavill, because I think if he comes back and cameos in possibly Black Adam, possibly Shazam,
I feel like Black Adam must have Superman. It's going to be significant if we actually have him.
I actually think both films will have Superman. I think Shazam and Black Adam will both have an appearance by Superman in some form. Of course, Shazam makes more sense as we've already seen.
But I feel like with the introduction of the Justice Society and a big name like Black Adam, Superman is really required to be in the movie.
His appearance in that movie will be a cameo. I couldn't see how much they're going to have to establish. I think it'll be a post-credit scene. Superman.
I feel like if he's going to be appearing, and if Dwayne Johnson really wants him to be there, it's going to be bigger, a tiny bigger than a cameo.
We'll definitely see it. I think there's so much going on in that Black Adam movie, so much to establish. Of course, we've got to establish Black Adam. We've got to establish his origins. We've got to establish the Justice Society. There's a lot already.
Yeah, there's a lot to be working on in the upcoming Black Adam.
Yeah, I think when you hear the amount they're putting into that film, it's quite scary. I've seen DC try and rush films in the past. Of course, Batman vs Superman, Justice League, of course, Birds of Prey. They've tried to establish too much at once, and they've struggled to do that.
Yeah, let's hope they don't go for the same mistake again.
Over at Marvel, they've got obviously the Hulk, and they use the Hulk in movies, but they don't give him his own movie.
Yeah, but that's one character. With Justice League, it was Superman and Wonder Woman who had their own solo movies.
Oh yeah, I do believe I believe Henry will come back. Audiences will love him because they do. It's Henry Cavill.
The main problem with Superman is that Snyder's take on his character was way too dark in BVS, and that really dragged Warner Bros. To kind of, or actually the DC fans to maybe that's not how you do Superman. And we can't blame Henry for that, but I feel like with the right script, with the right plot, Superman can really work. Henry Cavill Superman can work perfectly.
I totally agree. I think, as I say, there'll be a couple of cameos in the next couple of years, and I think that'll set him up for a Man of Steel 2, or my hope, inside my heart, I really hope that Man of Steel 2 will replace Batman vs Superman, and we'll pretend that never happened, and we'll actually see the proper development from Man of Steel to a sequel, and we'll pretend that the whole Batman vs Superman thing didn't happen.
Yeah, it doesn't happen again.
Yeah, because I don't just mean that happen again, I just want to pretend, I hope that going forward, the universe changes, hopefully after Flashpoint, that, we can just pretend Batman vs Superman didn't happen, and we can go forward and really establish Henry Superman. That's just obviously a hope of mine. I know a lot of people will be like, no, we can't, forget about Batman vs Superman. The problem is, a lot's changed from Batman vs Superman, but Henry isn't going to change. We want to keep him as Superman, but yeah, again, we don't want his Lex Luthor. We obviously Ben Affleck's not there.
Yeah, definitely. Now listen, if you want my perspective on this, or what I actually want, let's not wipe out what happened in Batman vs Superman or Justice League, but at the same time, let's explain that the Batman went. Batman never lost his way, and there comes Robert Pattinson's version, and we can also explain that the Lex Luthor we had in BVS never happened in there, but he never existed in there. So we had a complete new Lex Luthor.
Yeah, I think that is an almost certainty to happen. One thing we're going to get in these upcoming, the upcoming Justice League, there's going to be a lot of things. I think Henry Cavill's Superman could be redeemed in this version. I think a lot of people will be championing Henry Cavill. I think that's why the studio have came to the table and basically agreed this deal with Henry, is they know the audiences are going to be back in Henry Cavill camp again come 2021 when the HBO Max release of Justice League comes. But I think one thing that definitely won't be fixed is Jesse Eisenberg's Lex Luthor. I think for me, it was totally the wrong casting, the wrong characterisation. Zack Snyder took far too many liberties with that character. It's obviously Jesse Eisenberg. I'll give him a lot of credit. He's a great actor, but he's playing a version of Lex Luthor that I'm pretty sure the broader audience just is not interested in seeing. That is it for this week. So, Jake, let everybody out there know, where can they get a hold of you? Where can they find you?
It's at DC's Daily Buzz.
Okay, and this is same on YouTube, yeah?
Yeah, my YouTube is DC's Daily Buzz.
And of course, you can follow me on Instagram at Detective Comic Talks. Make sure you subscribe and like this video, keep up to date with all our latest content. Thank you so much for listening. See you again soon.